Dude. This is so stupid. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, we're gonna take a look at this Numskull Quarter Arcade for TMNT. This thing comes in two flavors. The first game, TMNT, and the second game, Turtles in Time. So without further ado, let's check it out. Cowabunga! All right, so it's all unboxed now, and when you first unbox it, the thing you're gonna realize about it is it's pretty accurate to the original. There's a couple of things on it that aren't, but for the most part, you get this really great marquee, and they do a good job about keeping them lit up so they're, like an original machine would look. And it almost, in a way, has the look like it's got a bulb behind it and not an LED. LEDs sometimes look really bright. This one kind of has the dim look that the original would have had. The other thing that's cool is the control panel. They did shape it exactly like the Konami cabinet of its day, which is really cool. And the controls all have like a really nice micro switch effect to them. You'll see a lot of these cabinets in the wild, like at an arcade bar, and a lot of times they'll replace the ball tops with bat tops. But the original did have ball tops, so it is accurate in that way. The side art is pretty good as well. Like everything pretty much is about accurate. I think Michelangelo, they made a mistake in the actual game and made him yellow instead of orange. I can't remember, but that's really minor. I don't really care, but it's worth noting. The way they did the screen looks pretty cool, and by default, when you turn it on, it has scan lines, which look good. The single speaker is exactly how the Konami cabinet for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles looked. It didn't have two speakers, it had a single mono speaker. When you look at the coin door though, that's where it gets kind of interesting. So you have each coin light, when you hit it, actually insert a coin for that turtle. Now, the original arcade ROM, when you were in front of a coin slot and you put a coin in it, if you were in front of, like, let's say Raphael, it's gonna put a credit in for Raphael. You couldn't put your credit in and move over here. So wherever you're putting your coin in. So some people might look at this and go, why can't I just play whoever I want when I'm over here? Why can't I play over there? That's actually how the real arcade worked, and they are using the real arcade ROM. So that is accurate to how it would actually work. When you open up where the coin drop would be, you'll find USB ports. The cool thing about that is, so if you wanted to have like 4 players plugged in, they sell these USB controllers you can use, and you could have 4 players. Obviously, you're not gonna get 4 people playing on a control deck this small, but this thing is pretty neat. I think this would probably support almost any general USB controller, but these are pretty cool, and Quarter Arcade sells these. But if you already own them, you don't have to do them. If you already own like a generic USB controller, my guess is it would probably work, so you don't have to buy theirs, but that's a cool little touch if you wanted to have multiple people playing it. In the package, you get just a general instruction manual, and then you get this little QR code that says join the club. This is so you can just stay up to date on all the latest releases. They're pumping out games pretty often, although this one took a long time, but when you look at the attention to detail on it, you can kind of understand why. The other thing it includes is this little sticker kit. Now, what's interesting about this is this was on the original arcade game, so the arcade owner would put the stickers underneath the coin slot for each one of the turtles, but not all arcade owners would put them on. So I've seen some of these cabinets original with these and some without these. But if I put my quarter in Raphael, Raphael is actually the only turtle I'll be able to select. Before we actually play, there's a way that you can adjust dip switch settings for different settings throughout the game. I don't know if they have all of the arcade dip switch settings, but basically to do that, it says hold down player 1 attack and player 2 attack buttons while the game is booting up. So we'll do that really quick before we go and do gameplay, just to see what we can change as far as the game goes. Okay, so just like the manual says, you do player 1 and player 2 attack button, you turn it on, and this should let us access the dip switch settings. My guess is we'll be able to turn on and off the scan lines and maybe some of the other features of the game. All right, so it looks like there's a bunch of like settings where you can turn on 1 kill hits for the bosses. So if you want to cheat, you can definitely do that. And that's for every boss, it looks like. Oh man, even Shredder. So Shredder, if you've never beat him before, he takes a long time. So I guess I can see where they might do that. You can pick infinite lives, invincibility or infinite lives for either player, sound test. And you can enable the CRT filter on and off. This actually is on by default. I like the CRT filter, so I'm gonna leave that on. And then you have to hit start to exit. Let's see. To play the game, like I said, you just hit the coin slot of the turtle you want to play. I'm choosing Donatello. It'll do the intro. Now keep in mind, The song that they use, this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme song, this is the original theme song, so they must have, I don't know, they must have worked with Nickelodeon to license the actual song since Nickelodeon owns the assets now for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You know, you have to pay a lot for that kind of stuff, so it's cool that they went to that level of detail, make sure it's the original song, make sure it's the original ROM, make sure it's mostly the original artwork. I think there may be certain parts of the artwork, like small little hidden subtleties that maybe they didn't license or couldn't license exactly. There's been all this weird, over the years, everyone always talks about or fixates on April's ring. I don't really remember the ring because, I don't know, maybe I didn't study the artwork that close, but the controls feel pretty good, actually. These things are actually surprisingly playable. You know, a lot of people will collect these and the New Wave Toys versions of these products. The New Wave Toys ones are a lot smaller than this, in my opinion. Even though those are playable, those are a little harder to play because of the size of them. These are probably a little bit easier to play. On the back of the cabinet, you have a volume control, you have a USB-C for charging, and just a power on and off switch and a LED indicator to show that it's on. This doesn't have HDMI out. That's been something that New Wave Toys has done a lot. I guess, you know, that could be something maybe they would add for future on other cabinets. They also have sort of it's like a faux key that would open up the back door. And I kind of like this. They've been doing like this little nameplate thing. You know, a lot of arcades would have sort of a serial number badge or something like that. I think that's what they're trying to go with here, but it definitely adds to like the retro aesthetic. So what are my overall thoughts on this? I've reviewed lots of these Numskull cabinets. Actually, I've had a relationship with them for almost 4 years now. It might even be going on 5. And so they'll kind of ask me if I'm interested to review the products from time to time. And most of the time I say yes, because they're really cool. They're things I wish I would have had as a kid. Like, I can't even imagine if they would have made these kind of replicas when arcades were booming, right? But I'll take it now. They're neat for collectible. I mean, how often am I gonna play it? Probably not that often, but it's really cool to display somewhere. And I feel like that's kind of the thing. They come at a cost. This one, I believe it retails for $300, and there's a couple different models of it. But when you think about it, when you're really into collecting and you're really into arcades and you're a hardcore arcade nerd, this is pretty damn awesome. The only thing I'd say for like critical feedback is, you know, the speaker volume is a little bit low when it's all the way up, but I mean, it's loud enough for playing it, but I'm just saying, like, if I had any feedback about the unit in itself. But I mean, overall, they did an awesome job. Oh, I did want to mention this. This is really cool. Obviously, in the real cabinet, you didn't have this text down here. This is probably just modern licensing, and they have to do this. But the real cabinets, Simpsons, TMNT, I think X-Men 2, they had this like cutout ridge right here. This was actually authentic on the cabinet, so it's neat that they would have done that. Really, to be able to replicate something as accurately as they did, I can kind of see why it's the price it is, but this is really neat. Hopefully, if you're into these things, I think you can't go wrong with this, especially if you're into TMNT. I know they have a bunch more coming. That's what they do. They kind of come out with these. You know, they're trying to recreate as many titles and get as many licenses as possible. So anyways, if you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. Put your comments below. I want to know, do you like this? Is this something you plan on picking up? And that's it for now, guys. We will see you on the next one.